I was rumored to be a sugar baby, but my husband fought for a female director. I'm a small-time internet celebrity who became famous for eating river snail rice noodles, while my husband is a big shot in the finance world. Before marriage, we agreed not to interfere in each other's careers. In 3 years, he never even gave me a single gift on my live stream rankings. But my frenemies insisted he was secretly helping me pave my way, laughing that we were like sour bamboo shoots paired with mutai. Annoyed by the constant chatter, I eventually gave up and said, "President Lee, how about you actually pave a path for me and make this rumor true?" My husband smiled, took off his gold-rimmed glasses, and pulled me into his arms. Our Anchor Jong's road to success doesn't need me to pave it. Maybe someday when I go bankrupt, I'll rely on you to take me live streaming for a career change. 5 years since we met, I still fell for this. A seemingly casual joke smoothed away the crumpled sourness in my heart, until the day I hit 1 million followers. Only one beautiful director, Shin Man, spoke up for me, but she was instead rumored to have slept with all the investors. Shin Man is my most important partner, and her professionalism should not be slandered. All defamation accounts will be pursued by the legal department one by one. The account looked familiar. I ended my stream early and rushed home. Pushing open the study door, I saw my husband, who had no social media accounts and always advised me to ignore the nasty comments, now clutching his phone with bulging veins. Yes, he was personally using his company's official account to argue with netizens in Shen Man's comment section. I walked up to Li Zhixing, but the man didn't even notice. He was still frowning, focused on Shin Man's posts with his private phone. I suddenly felt inexplicably nervous, afraid to know the answer. Before he could reach for his work phone, I closed the study door and fled. An hour passed, and my sour bamboo shoot girl, kept as a sugar baby Black Russo, still topped the charts. This was Li Zhixing's consistent attitude toward me. He always advised me to let clarity clear itself, to take a detached view of the endless insults. I had naively thought that in the eyes of someone like him, a capital magnate, online disputes were insignificant. Only then did I realize that it wasn't that he thought it beneath him to use resources to intervene, nor that he was consistently calm. He too could erupt in fury for a beautiful woman. While eating, I masochistically scrolled through Shin Man's 10-year-old, never-deleted Weibo posts. There I saw the complete and passionate history between my husband and her. I saw Li Zhixing, who had a cleanliness obsession, a man who would slightly frown even if I kissed him after brushing my teeth 3 times post-noodle eating, naturally take the leftover spicy noodle soup Shin Man had eaten and finish it without changing expression. When I, wanting to understand his tastes, merely asked to listen to a record, he grimly locked them all in the safe. Post after post, I scrolled down. When I waited at the Civil Affairs Bureau door 3 times before he showed up. The first 2 times were due to an emergency meeting and a sudden business trip for a project. The 3rd time Li Zhixing came, he held an unanswered work call throughout the entire marriage registration process. Only now did I see the end credits, directed by Shen Man. Ironically, the beginning of my relationship with Li Zhixing originated from this very film. 5 years ago, when I was just starting my food live stream, a rough commentary I made about this film unexpectedly caught his attention. After marriage, we often watched it together. Whenever the credits rolled, showing the tired crew members on set, he would watch with particular concentration. I had once flattered myself that his deep gaze also reflected pity for my journey. But it wasn't. What he repeatedly revisited was never the work that marked our first encounter. That focused gaze was filled with regret and yearning for another woman he loved but couldn't have. I abruptly swallowed a huge mouthful of river snail rice noodles. The double chili oiled me, tears and nasal mucus streaming down. Li Zhixing heard the noise, came out of the study, and seeing my swollen eyes and lips stained red by chili oil, frowned slightly. Finally, he sighed and handed me a glass of warm water. "If you can't handle it, don't force yourself." Hearing his calm tone, I finally gave up. Probably sensing my seriousness, Li Zhixing also became grave, his gaze like studying a stock. "Your current image is too down-to-earth. It's not suitable to go high-end now," he said calmly. "The market is cold now. My help wouldn't do much. Don't be willful and act on impulse." I laughed coldly. I remembered Shin Man's post where she said she was tired, and Li Zhixing replied, Stop working, I'll support you. As if possessed, I heard myself ask, if you won't help me and I really lose my job, would you support me? The man's brows immediately furrowed, as if hearing something absurd. Jiangning, adults should be responsible for their own choices. What I appreciate has always been your independence. Every word struck me clearly. So true is that I don't even qualify to be kept as a caged canary. Holding back tears, I choked out, so what are we between us? Li Jixing frowned in confusion. What are we? You are my wife, Mrs. Li, isn't that enough? No, it's not enough. I unlocked my phone and shoved Shin Man's post in his face. You can remove all the black for her overnight, spend hundreds of millions filming documentaries for her, break your rules to fight with people online for her. My voice trembled uncontrollably. What about me? As your wife, don't I deserve you even a little resource? Say one word of defense. He looked at the photo of Shen Man receiving an award on the screen, was silent for a few seconds, and when he spoke again, his tone was different from his usual calm. What I did for her was because she deserves it. The money invested can see tenfold or hundredfold returns. Her talent, her professionalism, are the highest quality assets. His gaze fell back on me. What can I get by helping you? A share of the tips from your live stream every day? 2.5 yuan from a pack of river snail rice noodles split by the platform? Not even enough for my driver's gas money for one trip. Jiangning, investment needs returns. Finally, he tore off the veneer of warmth. The truth hit me, draining the color from my face. Li Jixing, seeing my defeated look, sighed and pulled me into his arms, softening his voice slightly. Ning Ning, don't be like this. Let's talk properly. What do you need? We can. At that moment, a piercing phone ringtone sounded. Li Jixing answered irritably without looking. Who? On the other end, a soft female voice came through. Jixing, it's me, Shin Man. Hearing who it was, his body stiffened. He instinctively wanted to let me go and head to the study, but his gaze swept over my reddened eyes, and he froze in place. Shin Man's voice continued on the phone, with familiar dependence. I'm discussing my live stream incubator project with the investors you introduced, like President Li. If you don't come to oversee, these investors won't commit. She paused, softening her tone, as if coaxing. Can you come over now? They only trust you. Li Jixing held the phone with one hand while still patting my back reassuringly with the other. After a moment's silence, he spoke into the receiver. Tell them I'll invest 200 million. For there, if they make money, it's theirs. If they lose, it's on me. Send me the address. I'll be right there. As his words fell, both ends of the phone fell silent. Coming to my senses, I clutched Li Jixing's clothes corner. Don't go. Li Jixing, what about your principles? Your return on investment? Just a moment ago, with me, investment needs returns, my 2.5 yuan wasn't worth it. The next second, for one call from Shen Man, you casually throw 200 million. Profits for others, losses for you. This slap in the face was so absurd I laughed until tears came. Li Jixing showed obvious impatience. A man just returned, her career is just starting, it's not easy. Helping her is out of friendship. Jiangning, you're my wife, can't you be more magnanimous? So you don't help your wife, but you help her? I heard my voice shaking. She's not having an easy time, but am I? From an unknown small account to where I am now, every sour and spicy mouthful I swallowed, every I endured. He never knew, never asked. Li Jixing, if you go, we're getting a divorce. The door closed softly. I slumped to the floor. I tried my best. I bet what I thought was my heaviest to make him stay. But to Li Jixing, it was light as air, not taken seriously at all. After sitting Kuzo for a long time, my agent messaged me. She'd mentioned before my idea of transitioning behind the scenes, and an investor was willing to talk. There was no path for me in Li Jixing's world, but I still had to walk my own. I washed my face and went out. At the hotel, Investor Wang, his greasy hand holding my waist, pulling me towards the private room. I was used to this kind of situation and was planning how to extricate myself when I looked up and Li Jixing. He stood at the other end of the corridor, watching me being dragged, his face darkening repeatedly. Just then Shen Man's voice rang out. Jixing, why are you still here? President Li and the others are waiting. The woman glanced at me, a flicker of surprise in her eyes, then naturally took Li Jixing's arm and walked inside, saying as she went, I misjudged before. I thought Jiangning was a hardworking, honest girl, which is why I wanted to speak up for her. I didn't expect she was this kind of person. If I'd known, I wouldn't have gotten involved in such matters, just inviting trouble for myself. At this moment, sorrow is greater than death of the heart. Back in the private room, Wang and others intensified their efforts to ply me with alcohol. After a few drinks, and strange heat suffused my body, I realized something was wrong, rushed out, and kicked open the door to Li Jixing's adjacent room. With alcohol and the drug taking effect, I softly begged the familiar figure at the head of the table, Li Jixing, they're bullying me. I feel so awful. Take me home, please. The room instantly fell silent. Shen Man said displeasedly, Miss Jiang, wrong room? This isn't like your vulgar next-door venue. The others, shrewd as they were, immediately understood the situation. Manager, what's going on? Letting any stray cat or dog in, spoiling Director Shen and President Li's enjoyment. Listening to their provocations and insults, I found it absurdly funny. Yes, no wonder they didn't know my identity. Married to Li Jixing for 3 years. No wedding, no public announcement, not even a single photo of us together circulated outside. Li Jixing had hidden me so well that in front of his acquaintances, I became a stranger to be. Yet Shen Man could sit beside him like a hostess, enjoying and limelight. I fought the dizziness, wanting to shout that I was his wife. Before the words left my mouth, Li Jixing had already walked up to me. Seeing my unsteady steps, he wouldn't even touch me. When you looked for others, didn't you think this day would come? He straightened up, his gaze sweeping over my face flushed from the drug and my disheveled clothes. There was no compassion in his eyes, only utter disgust. Clean up the mess you made yourself. Dirty things, don't bring them near me anymore. With that, the man turned without hesitation, put his arm around Shen Man's shoulder, and left without looking back. This bucket of cold water left my mind blank, frozen in place. That investor, eyes reddened, chased after me again, pulling me towards a room on the 2nd floor. The drug mixed with fear made me weak all over. I struggled desperately, shouting at the disappearing figure about to vanish. Li Jixing, I was wrong. Save me, please. The man's footsteps stopped. Just as he was about to turn back, Shen Man pulled him away the next second, completely disappearing. Immediately, a brute force yanked me viciously into the room. That investor grinned savagely, pressing down on me, tearing at my collar. President Li doesn't want damaged goods. Still pretending with me. Before losing consciousness, I only felt warm liquid blurring my vision, and a piercing pain in my left leg. When I woke up, I was in the hospital, with Li Jixing's secretary standing nearby. Where's Li Jixing? The secretary stammered. President Li had urgent business. I found you when I went back to the hotel to get something. President Li doesn't know what happened to you yet. I stared hollowly at the ceiling, and since he doesn't know, don't let him know. As for what his urgent business was, I didn't need to guess. Caption: thanks to someone for cooking for me late at night, celebrating the restart of a new career. Cheers to our future cooperation. But looking at that wisp of steam, I remembered many late nights when I'd cook instant noodles and deliberately bring them close to him, wanting to pull this elegant, refined man down to earth, to let him taste ordinary people's warmth. Time for a change. I took out my phone, contacted the paparazzi who had just photographed my late-night meeting with an investor, and freely gave them more information. Until early the next morning, woken by Li Jixing's call. The man probably hadn't been home all night either. His opening line was, Shen Man looked at your data and thinks the account has some value. You said yesterday you couldn't go on and wanted to transition. Why not transfer the account to her to operate? There was a clear pause on the other end. No money. You transfer the account to her, I'll arrange for you to transition to something else. If that doesn't work out, you can stay home comfortably and be Mrs. Li. Look, what a shrewd businessman. I wanted to laugh, but the wound pulled at the corner of my mouth, hurting. I'm recovering from my injuries. Let's discuss this after I'm discharged. An impatient scoff came through the phone, probably thinking I was making excuses. Then go find someone else. I closed my eyes and hung up. Soon, the hospital TV began broadcasting financial news. On screen, Li Zhixing and Shen Man sat side by side on the press conference stage, announcing an investment of hundreds of millions to establish a food livestream incubator, fully supporting Shen Man's new career. I watched his face instantly darken and turn livid on the screen. Around 10 last night, the reporter pressed relentlessly. So, is internet celebrity Jiang Ning indeed your wife? Li Zhixing neither denied nor admitted it. Last night, that cry for help, he had heard it. But he was still angry. Angry at her provocation. Angry at her appearing in such a disgraceful state at his event. So he wanted to punish her a little. At the time, he didn't think much of it. He felt his wife was always independent and sensible that. On the other hand, Shen Man seemed delicate, couldn't hold her liquor well. So she easily drew all his attention. Thinking back, this morning when Jiang Ning said she was in the hospital recovering, he hadn't taken it seriously either, just thought she was still stubbornly seeking attention. Li Zhixing loosened his tie, an inexplicable irritability rising inside him. Healing Sung demanded, "You saw her being harmed and did nothing to stop it? Saw her injured and didn't help, just to take a few worthless photos?" His gaze swept over that reporter. "Which media outlet are you from? Who's your boss?" Just then, a reporter from the back muttered quietly, "You're her husband, and you didn't quan your own wife either. You left with another woman." Li Zhixing heard it. His body stiffened, as if struck. Seeing the man on the verge of losing control, Shen Man stepped forward, gently pressing his arm, her voice. "Zhixing, don't get agitated. There must be a misunderstanding. Let's finish the press conference first, okay?" Li Zhixing looked at her. This face, this expression, he knew it too well. Every time she wanted something, needed him to break rules, resources, she would show this expression, this gentleness. And almost every time he complied, the man suddenly laughed coldly. "Shen Man." He withdrew his arm, his tone showing unprecedented distance. "I've helped you enough already. The rest of the way, walk it yourself. From now on, unless necessary, no need to contact me." Shen Man's face changed. She wanted to say more, but Li Zhixing had already turned and strode out of the press conference venue. Walking quickly, he dialed my number. "Hello, the number you dialed is switched off." But when his own wife suffered online violence countless times, he only said let clarity clear itself. When Shen Man pleaded with just one sentence, he could pull hundreds of millions into a project for her. That day, when Jiang Ning wearily asked for his help, why did he cruelly refuse? Probably only he knew that all along, he felt that giving Jiang Ning marriage and a stable life was the greatest blessing to her. And wanting more would be greed. When Li Zhixing found me, the anesthetic on my leg had just worn off, and I was pale from the pain. "It's all in the past." I calmly interrupted him. Indeed, if it were before, I would have already been hysterical. I weakly raised my eyes. "Honey, I agreed to your proposal from the other day on the phone. I'll give the account to Shen Man for free. You introduced me to some investors. Your connections are always better than my blind encounters." Hearing this, the guilt in Li Zhixing's eyes deepened. He held me tightly, carefully. "This won't happen again, I promise. When your injuries heal, whoever you want to meet, I'll help introduce you." His arms squeezed me painfully, but I didn't push him away. At the gala dinner 2 weeks later, of course, Shen Man was also there as his project partner. Watching Li Zhixing's protective attitude towards me, her gaze gradually turned cold. After some small talk, I held my glass and casually walked over to Shen Man. "Miss Shen, I have a recording here about the incident where I sexually assaulted. Would you be interested in listening?" Shen Man showed no expression, still maintaining her superior posture. "Jiang Ning, even if you have evidence, so what? Even if you're his wife, so what? Li Zhixing will still stand by my side. Don't believe me? Wanna bet?" I raised an eyebrow, meeting her gaze. "All right, let's bet." Saying this, I took out my phone in public and played an audio clip. That greasy, fawning voice of investor Wang instantly filled the banquet hall. "Miss Shen Man, rest assured, I'm in the private room next to President Li's you arranged. I'll definitely get it done. Guarantee she willingly follows me and is utterly disgraced." I saw Li Zhixing's face turn livid as he looked at me. I swirled my glass and approached him. "Husband, I just received this recording. So, From the very beginning, was Investor Wang's investment a setup? The one who wanted to ruin me is your most important partner, Miss Shen. Until this moment, I still didn't see a flicker of panic on Shen Man's face. The woman quickly put on a pitiful expression, grabbing Li Jixing's sleeve. Jixing, I was just momentarily confused, too afraid of losing you. Look, Zhongning is fine, isn't she? I was wrong about this. For the sake of our past friendship, forgive me. After all, making a big deal out of this wouldn't be good for anyone. Li Jixing looked at Shen Man, then glanced at me silently. After a long while, his tone carried the weariness of wanting to smooth things over. Ning Ning, you've played the recording and vented your anger. Let's do as Shen Man says. Since you weren't irreversibly harmed, let's end it here. End it here? I had thought that someone as Li Jixing would let this matter fizzle out, but I indeed hadn't expected it to be so perfunctory. Then what was there left to hope for? Li Jixing, do you think her scheming against me today is the first time? Do you remember, back when you broke up, how that crucial overseas project of yours fell through? This was a thorn in his heart. He had been for a long time after. I took out my phone and played an encrypted audio clip. In the recording, Shen Man's voice carried ingratiating laughter. Don't worry, President Wang. I can get the core and technical weaknesses of Li Jixing's project tonight. The condition is that your overseas channel project must be signed to me. It was as if something exploded in Li Jixing's mind. So, the source of that betrayal, which the foundation of his career lay here. So, her insistence on breaking up and going abroad back then, her so-called pursuit of personal development, was merely taking the contract she got from betraying him to seek a better future. The whole room was in an uproar. The color drained from Li Jixing's face, and only then did Shen Man finally panic. The woman knelt and begged for mercy, but could no longer elicit a single glance from the man. The farce at the charity gala ended with Shen Man utterly disgraced and disappearing from the circle. But this wasn't my ultimate goal. I needed to give Li Jixing one more strong dose. No self-pity, just language, detailing every bit of my 3-year journey building my account. In the sweltering summer, in a 10-square-meter steamer of a rental room live streaming, until my eyes went black at 3 a.m. Waking up with a bleeding gash on my forehead from a fall, my first reaction was to grab my phone and check if I'd lost followers. To that perfect slurping sound that made viewers salivate, I recorded 12 bowls until I got acute gastritis and was hospitalized. Receiving dead rats and blood-stained knives sent by haters, I tremblingly called the police, then curled up alone in a blanket in the corner of my bed, staying awake until dawn. The next day, I still squeezed out a bright smile for the camera. Babes, today let's challenge the ultimate extra spicy version, guaranteed to make you cry through the screen. These paths paved with blood and sweat, I never told Li Jixing, and never stooped to using them to gain sympathy. But times have changed. Just like a couple of days ago, before she disappeared, Shen Man met me, asked, "What you're doing now, isn't it also a man to bring me down?" I laughed coldly. I never thought about relying on a man. What I'm doing now is just taking back what Li Jixing owes me, with interest. After you two broke up, his career was shattered. He drank, fell apart. It was me. I pointed to myself. A small-time internet celebrity still live-streaming at night markets back then, carrying hot meals to knock on his door every day. He couldn't sleep night after night, so I kept my video on, slurping noodles in front of talking to him randomly, even if he never responded. He said the world was black, so I slowly, clumsily described the night market lights, the boiler steam, the food smells to him. I looked at Shen Man word by word, so I had to settle accounts with him properly. Shen Man's lips trembled after listening. Faced with this truth, the favoritism she had firmly believed in crumbled. She couldn't utter a single. Then the woman staggered away and never appeared before me again. But the netizens hadn't calmed down yet. As my past was laid bare, quickly produced comparison charts. On one side, my eating river snail rice noodles in a rental room. On the other, Shen Man enjoying a Michelin breakfast on Li Jixing's private jet. On one side, screenshots of me during online bullying. On the other, Li Jixing's defense tearing apart the internet for Shen Man. On one side, me curled up on the hospital bed, blood-cold sweat soaking my hospital gown. On the other, Li Jixing at the press conference presenting hundreds of millions in contracts to Shen Man. Public opinion instantly exploded. Hashtag feel sorry for Jiangning. Hashtag Li Zhixing is scum. Hashtag Shinmen go die and similar tags headlines. When Li Zhixing got home, I had turned off all the lights and sat in the dark living room. He stood at the door, his gaze looking at me, his Adam's apple moving, but unable to make a sound. I broke the silence first, my voice carrying self-mockery, a lowly like me, clawing my way up by eating river snail rice noodles, indeed doesn't deserve to be in the world of someone like President Li. Li Zhixing shook his head, the corners of his eyes reddening. At that moment, he finally showed pure. But it was too late. The whole internet was cheering for me, waiting for me to divorce and stage a female-led revenge drama. However, a day passed, a week, a month. My social account remained silent. The anticipated divorce announcement never came. Public opinion began to turn. No way? Still not divorcing? Jiangning, wake up. Exactly, internet celebrities are like this. Gold diggers are gold diggers. She can't bear to give up the of Mrs. Li and the money, right? Felt sorry for you before. Turns out you're also a disappointment. Unfollowed. A new wave of online bullying hit, this time and filled with frustration that she wouldn't listen. I didn't respond at all. I disappeared from the camera. But what they couldn't see was that I no longer needed to live stream eating noodles until my stomach hurt. My studio quietly established itself, starting to an in-depth food documentary about traditional snack innovation, exactly the direction I had wanted. My resources were visibly skyrocketing. The reason? Li Zhixing had begun his quest to win me back. He declined all unnecessary social engagements, came home on time every day, and even clumsily followed recipes to recreate various river snail rice noodle flavors for me, though he failed every time. He personally assembled the top team to tailor-make a plan for me, investing resources far exceeding the playful 100 million he had given Shen Man. He doubled the indulgence and he had once shown Shen Man, now onto me. If I even frowned, he would nervously inquire. Faced with his belated, I didn't refuse. The resources he sent, I accepted all of them. To outsiders, even to him, it seemed we were mending a broken mirror. But only I knew that the love in my heart, which he had extinguished, never reignited. What he gave was what I had once begged for. But now I accepted it, not out of gratitude, but waiting. Waiting for the best. Waiting until I had completely digested the compensation he gave, turning it into my own strength. The time had come. I went home and, in his presence, opened a dusty box. Inside weren't valuables, just a few thick photo albums and diaries. Opening the first page, the date was marked 5 years ago. He had a fever and wanted porridge after it broke. Empty fridge, 3 a.m. I ran across half the city, found a small shop still open, bought a bowl of hot porridge and sent it to his company. His assistant came down to get it, said my boss is asleep. It's okay as long as the porridge is hot. The second page was a close-up of a food delivery receipt, order for river snail rice noodles, extra spicy and extra stinky, more sour bamboo shoots. He said he wanted to eat something flavorful for the first time. I was so happy, like an idiot, recommending my favorite flavor to him. He frowned after one bite and put it down, but that's okay, at least he tried. I flipped through page by page, pointing out to him the moments he had long forgotten or had scorned. Li Zhixing, see, I loved you for so many years, never using your money, your resources. What I used was my own true heart, to warm a stone I thought would eventually heat up. But what about you? This one saved from the day Shin Man was publicly defended by you for the first time. I was thinking, how wonderful it would be if the person being protected was me. And this one the time Shen Man schemed, almost ruining me. You thought, jumping from the second floor, I just broke my leg, it would heal. From the photo album, I pulled out a medical report and pushed it in front of him. Cold. Postoperative dysfunction due to comminuted fracture, constituting a grade 10 disability. I raised my eyes to the shocked Li Zhixing and finally asked the question that had. See, Li Zhixing? Even now, I walk with an involuntary limp. My knee hurts so much on rainy days I can't sleep. You never noticed, never asked. Li Zhixing, I'm a food blogger. I know very well what food is truly hard to swallow like you. Li Zhixing's face gradually turned pale. Listening to my calmly shirsu, He finally understood that his later compensation was all for nothing. A few days later, Li Jixing signed the papers. In the divorce agreement, he offered far more than the legal requirement, nearly half his wealth, as compensation. I didn't refuse, calmly accepting it. Soon after the divorce, the financial and social sections simultaneously broke shocking news. The former Macer director Shen Man was involved in illegal fund operations and commercial fraud. Evidence was solid, and she was placed under investigation. And the day before she was summoned, Li Jixing stabbed her. Shen Man died. Li Jixing was subdued at the scene, eventually diagnosed with a mental disorder, and confined to a sanatorium, never walking out Qingxing again. Outside, opinions varied. Some said it was Li Jixing's doing, revenge for me, a belated, bloody deep affection. I felt no bolon in my heart. Maybe it was revenge for me, or maybe more so, to cleanse himself of the past where he was fooled, to weihu his Borong Qinfan authority. The motives, to me, no longer mattered. Years later, I shed the label of river snail rice noodle internet celebrity. The Weigong Capital I founded focused on new media investments, successfully konggu several brands I once looked up to. There were whispers in the circle. Isn't she just relying on her ex-husband to get started? Got divorced and became a life winner. To this, I just laughed it off. I never actively harmed anyone, played the game fair and square. Finally, I lived as my own sole support.